You think your weakness is lack of strength, but it is misdirection. Someone trained your mind to obey soft lies that feel kind. Listen carefully. These quiet lies drain power faster than open attacks. Power collapses slowly when the mind repeats gentle falsehoods. Falsehoods are easier to accept than discipline under pressure. They feel warm, but they delete structure from inside. You will expose 4 lies that quietly erase authority and clarity. Each lie sounds moral, wise, or humble at first hearing, but each lie steals rhythm, time, and emotional control. You will replace them with rules that cannot be hijacked. The first lie says, more explanation creates more safety. This lie rewards overtalking while punishing clean boundaries. Overtalking invites interrogation, framing, and emotional bait. Every extra sentence opens a new door to pressure. Pressure multiplies when you try to buy harmony with words. Harmony bought with words becomes debt that never ends. Power returns when sentences end cleanly and silence completes meaning. Understand the biology behind this first lie. When you seek approval while speaking, your breathing shortens immediately. Short breath narrows attention, and narrowed attention misses traps. Manipulators compress time to make you trade clarity for relief. They press for reasons, then press for more details. Details become handles that later move your decisions. Handles allow others to steer you without raising their voice. Replace this lie with a simple law. Law, state the decision, state the principle, state the condition. Then stop, breathe once, and hold calm stillness. Stillness teaches the room to recalibrate around your rhythm. Recalibrated rooms become easier to lead without argument. Leadership here is nervous system guidance, not verbal dominance. Your quiet law outperforms loud explanations every single time. Train 3 micro habits that kill the first lie quickly. First, the clean pause before any reply. Second, short sentences that end without dangling thoughts. Third, neutral acknowledgement followed by the rule. Acknowledgement reduces heat without surrendering position. Rules return focus to structure and measurement. Structure ends confusion. Confusion feeds manipulation. You are designing oxygen for reason, not for drama. The second lie says, pure transparency proves honesty and builds trust. This lie confuses openness with reliability. Reliability is repeated behavior under stress, not continuous disclosure. Too much exposure becomes surveillance on your mind. Surveillance reduces freedom to adapt when conditions change. Reduced freedom increases predictability, and predictability invites control. Power requires controlled visibility, not constant emotional access. See the strategic cost of uncontrolled transparency. When everything is shared, nothing has negotiated weight. Weightless words cannot anchor decisions during storms. Your presence becomes easy to map and easy to manipulate. The solution is layered disclosure with verification gates. Early layers are simple facts and shared standards. Later layers require reciprocity, consistency, and risk sharing. Practice ethical opacity with one guiding sentence. Say that layer stays private, the decision remains the same. This line is kind, clear, and complete. Repeat once calmly if the test continues. Repetition without heat signals finality without threat. Finality teaches approach, and approach decides future friction. Reduced friction returns bandwidth to design and execution. The third lie says, kindness requires emotional availability at all times. This lie destroys boundaries while pretending to protect connection. Emotional availability without regulation becomes extraction. Extraction trains others to use your calm as a resource. Resources spent without standards turn leaders into emotional utilities. Utilities lose respect because they never close the door. Respect grows where access follows rules and timing. Replace uncontrolled availability with rhythmic access. Respond in predictable windows and maintain clean closure. Predictability feels safe, and safety reduces chaos. Chaos reduction creates loyalty faster than constant comfort. Comfort without structure becomes dependence. Structure with warmth becomes trust. Trust built on rhythm survives storms without supervision. Use the posture test during emotional spikes. Lengthen the spine, drop the shoulders, and soften the jaw. Length signals safety to every nervous system present. Safety lowers threat and increases listening capacity. Now deliver short rules with soft eyes and steady tone. Tone carries meaning faster than content under pressure. Let tone lead, and words become lighter, but heavier. The fourth lie says, speed proves competence and secures opportunity. Speed without structure is panic dressed as confidence. Panic makes commitments before scope is defined clearly. Undefined scope becomes a tunnel with moving walls. Moving walls erase accountability and rewrite deadlines. When accountability fades, power bleeds quietly every day. You appear busy while losing the scoreboard entirely. Replace the speed lie with deliberate time ownership. Set entry conditions before any agreement starts. Entry conditions include scope, criteria, cadence, and reversal options. Reversal options protect dignity if reality changes. Dignity preserved maintains relationships under stress. Relationships that survive stress compound into leverage. Leverage is speed created by structure, not adrenaline. Understand the rhythm chess behind all 4 lies. Explanations give others tempo. Transparency gives others map. Availability gives others access. Speed gives others scoreboard. Tempo, map, access, and scoreboard decide outcomes silently. You cannot win a game someone else designed. Power begins when you refuse design you did not author. Authorship returns the right to pace, frame, and measure. Train the following daily rituals to uninstall each lie. Morning, breathe slower than your first impulse. This slows internal time and raises perception. Midday, rewrite one message to half its length. Shorter language reduces hooks and refusers bait. Afternoon, decline one micro-demand without justification. Evening, audit one event and write the structural lesson. Structure learned once reduces future mistakes forever. Watch for the classic manipulator sequence during tests. First comes urgency to compress thought. Second comes curiosity to extract more detail. Third comes friendliness to lower your guard. Fourth comes moral framing to shame your boundary. If you see 2 steps, assume the next 2 are coming. Hold stillness, return to standards, and repeat the condition gently. Upgrade your vocabulary to power neutrals. Use "I choose this" instead of "I am sorry," but use "the rule is the same" instead of "please understand me." Use "we will pause here" instead of "maybe we should stop." These neutrals remove apology while keeping respect. Respect without apology becomes quiet authority. Quiet authority ends arguments before they start. Remember the physiology rule that protects every principle. Breathe low and slow during pressure spikes. Lower breathing rate lowers heart rate efficiently. Lower heart rate expands attention and reduces leakage. Reduced leakage keeps posture, tone, and gaze aligned. Alignment reads as truth even before logic arrives. Truth felt is stronger than truth argued. You will notice a shift after consistent practice. People question you less and prepare more. They choose measured words and accept clear boundaries. They match your tempo without being asked. The room feels calmer and outcomes happen faster. This was never magic, only nervous system leadership. You regulated yourself and everything else followed. But understand one final twist hidden beneath these lies. Even clean rules can become another trap if worshipped blindly. Tools meant for freedom can harden into armor. Armor blocks manipulation, but it also blocks empathy. Without empathy, you lose information and allies. Can you hold firm laws while staying beautifully human? The next reveal shows how softness protects power better than steel. You think lies are loud, but the most dangerous ones whisper as wisdom. They do not command you directly, they shape what you think feels right. Listen carefully, because the mind obeys any idea repeated calmly enough. These 4 lies survived for centuries because they hide inside good intentions. They sound kind, rational, even spiritual. But each lie rewards behavior that weakens internal authority. Machiavelli warned of this in Principle, though few understood his message. He never taught cruelty, he taught structure. He understood that chaos disguised as kindness destroys empires from within. You must now expose how these lies operate at the emotional level. The first lie, more explanation creates more safety, feeds on the fear of rejection. You are conditioned to believe silence equals guilt and defense equals virtue. Society praises the open explainer and punishes the quiet decision-maker, but explanation becomes addiction when it begins to seek reassurance. Each justification signals uncertainty, and uncertainty invites management. You unknowingly train others to supervise your clarity. That supervision slowly replaces your inner compass with their approval. The more you explain, the more you teach the world that your no can be negotiated. To break this lie, begin with micro-control of breath and word length. When you shorten your language, you reclaim tempo. Tempo is the first territory of power. Never speak to fix confusion instantly. Speak to define structure. Confusion always belongs to the listener. Structure always belongs to you. Once you start owning structure, the room adapts to your pace automatically. And when you own the pace, you own the perception of intelligence. People associate calm rhythm with truth, even without evidence. The second lie, transparency equals trust, is one of the cleverest moral traps. It disguises exposure as courage and privacy as deceit. But full transparency transfers control to the observer. The one who sees all of you can calculate all your moves. You think honesty protects you, but honesty without filters feeds surveillance. Machiavellian honesty is layered. It tells truth in parts that match context. It protects inner strategy while maintaining external clarity. Truth is still spoken, but never in total. Total truth is not purity. It is surrender. To disarm this lie, you must define contextual honesty. Contextual honesty means truth that fits purpose, not compulsion. A strategist does not lie, but neither does he hand over the map. You reveal principles, not coordinates. Coordinates can be stolen. Principles cannot. The public version of you should always match your private values, but the private logic behind timing and emotion remains yours alone. Remember, unreadability is not dishonesty. It is disciplined expression. A powerful mind can be open without being vulnerable. The third lie, constant availability equals kindness, feeds on guilt. People with big empathy often believe boundaries are selfish, but unlimited access creates emotional inflation. When attention is always available, people stop valuing your focus. Your time becomes cheap, and cheapness breeds silent contempt. Eventually, you are drained, misunderstood, and quietly resented for exhaustion. Machiavelli's silent principle applies here. Restraint is the purest form of generosity. He knew that leaders who give constantly lose the ability to give meaningfully. Too much presence kills appreciation faster than absence ever can. Break this lie by mastering measured distance. Distance keeps your energy scarce enough to be respected. Scarcity here is not manipulation. It is value preservation. You cannot pour clarity into those addicted to chaos. You will speak once calmly, then retreat without apology. Retreat allows echo, and echo teaches faster than repetition. Influence grows not when you talk endlessly, but when your silence continues their reflection. The fourth lie, speed proves competence, belongs to the cult of urgency. The world teaches reaction as leadership, but real power always moves on delay. Delay is not laziness. Delay is calculation. When you rush, you surrender precision for applause. But applause is a narcotic that trains the brain to value appearance over control. Machiavelli warned that fools mistake movement for momentum. True motion is invisible until the right time. The wise do not compete for speed. They compete for direction. Reclaim timing through tactical stillness. Tactical stillness is active observation disguised as pause. You wait long enough to see every motive unfold. The impatient reveal themselves first, and you map their hunger. Once you map hunger, you can feed or starve it by choice. And the one who decides what others eat in a psychological sense rules them quietly. Never move first when you can make others prove their rhythm. Each extra heartbeat you control rewrites the hierarchy. Together, these four lies share one structure. They all replace internal authority with external demand. Each lie teaches you to surrender control for moral safety. But safety through surrender is the slowest form of captivity. You will now learn the antidote to all four, the single rule beneath them all. This rule does not just protect power, it creates it. But the mind will resist it because it sounds too simple, too calm, too final. Can you handle the idea that power is not something you chase, but something you stop leaking by refusing to explain, expose, please, or rush? You think power comes from addition, but it actually comes from subtraction. The less you leak, the more gravity you create. Listen carefully. Everything you remove from your reactions multiplies your influence quietly. Each of the four lies survives through emotional leakage. Excess talking leaks certainty, overexposure leaks mystery, endless empathy leaks energy, and urgency leaks structure. You were taught to perform these leaks as proof of goodness. But what people call good communication is often disguised surrender. Machiavelli's hidden rule was simple. A calm center commands more than a loud opinion. You will now learn how each leak turns into control for others and how to seal it. Start with the leak of over-explanation. When you defend every decision, you train others to challenge every decision. The brain interprets excessive detail as hidden doubt. Doubt invites participation from anyone seeking influence. Soon, your authority turns into a group project. Leaders lose clarity not through mistakes, but through endless consultation. You think you are earning trust? You are actually distributing control. The cure is linguistic compression. Compression means fewer words that hold stronger weight. Each sentence must feel like it could end the conversation. People mirror the weight of your words, not their length. Practice the compression ritual. First, state only the result, not the reason. Second, let silence stretch until they react. Third, repeat the same sentence slower if questioned. Repetition without new data signals finality. Finality breaks dependency. Dependency is how manipulators survive. Once you remove their dependency, they must adjust or leave. Both outcomes strengthen your field. Next is the leak of exposure. Constant transparency removes the barrier between intention and interpretation. When interpretation becomes public property, manipulation begins. People start using your honesty as a weapon against your timing. They will repeat your words when it suits them, reshape your truth to fit their emotional goals, and mirror sincerity only to gain deeper access. Transparency without discretion is voluntary surveillance. You are giving enemies your map in the name of virtue. Seal this leak with controlled disclosure. Disclosure must always have context, hierarchy, and timing. Context filters audience, hierarchy filters depth, timing filters leverage. Speak in levels, not floods. Share principles in public, processes in private, and emotions only in trust. The less detail you reveal, the more others must rely on your stability, not your data. That reliance creates magnetic respect. Respect sustained through mystery lasts longer than affection built through confession. Then comes the leak of availability. Emotional responders lose hierarchy because they reward pressure instantly. Every urgent message feels like a fire, and you become the extinguisher. But the constant firefighter eventually becomes invisible. The more accessible you are, the less valued your time feels. Availability trains people to expect access without qualification. They begin to see your presence as service, not leadership. Service without structure converts kindness into fatigue. You fix this with temporal control. Temporal control means time becomes your silent boundary. You respond on rhythm, not on request. Set internal intervals for reflection, then communication. Every delay in reaction resets power distance. Delays signal that your actions come from design, not emotion. Even in digital life, delayed response builds authority, because power always moves slower than panic. The last leak is the worship of speed. Speed seems modern, impressive, productive, but it hides fear. You rush because you fear being forgotten. You act fast to avoid feeling small. And speed gives others free access to your instincts. They can predict your moves before you even reflect. You become reaction, not direction. And reaction can never be sovereign. To reverse this, master the art of delay. Delay converts threat into data. What feels urgent now looks different after 20 measured breaths. When you slow time, you see patterns others miss. Machiavelli called it patience disguised as strategy. Those who pause own outcomes because everyone else moves inside their shadow. Your slowness becomes the space where chaos collapses. The slower you think, the faster you win, because you waste nothing. Each leak has one root cause: fear of disconnection. You explain too much because you fear rejection. You overshare because you fear invisibility. You overgive because you fear losing relevance. You rush because you fear irrelevance. Fear is the currency manipulators use to buy your obedience. Once you stop trading in fear, you stop bleeding power. Learn to tolerate the discomfort of stillness. When someone demands clarity, let their tension rise before you respond. When silence grows, your calm becomes their mirror. They will rush to fill the space with explanations, just like you used to. But now you simply observe. Their noise reveals their motive. Their pace reveals their insecurity. You become invisible yet all-seeing. This is not arrogance. It is awareness refined into leverage. Machiavelli's real genius was not coldness, it was patience. He saw that emotion without measurement is slavery. To win without cruelty, you must become deliberate in rhythm. No move made for comfort, no words spoken for reassurance. You give only what strengthens the design, and you remove everything that serves the illusion. But here lies the paradox. The more power you reclaim through discipline, the more solitude you attract. Few can survive the silence that comes after removing weakness. Most people run back to noise, calling it connection. The next revelation shows how to stay human without losing control, how to hold warmth and mystery at once, and how true influence begins when you stop needing agreement entirely. You think power ends in control, but it truly ends in balance. Control without warmth becomes isolation, and warmth without control becomes erosion. Listen carefully. The strongest mind is not the coldest one, but the clearest one. Clarity is the final stage of power because it sees through extremes. Machiavelli warned that both cruelty and kindness become tools when unexamined. You were never meant to be either angel or predator. You were meant to be precise. Precision is the quiet intersection of empathy and structure. When emotion and logic meet without war, authority becomes effortless. You no longer fight chaos. You absorb it, decode it, and return it as order. You now understand how the four lies work. Each was designed to make you leak control under the illusion of virtue. You explained too much to feel safe. You exposed too much to feel honest. You gave too much to feel loved. You rushed too much to feel important. And in that cycle, your mind stopped belonging to you. Every manipulator's system depends on this conditioning. They never take power from you directly. They convince you to hand it over politely. The cure was never aggression, it was inner calibration. Calibration means no overreaction, no underreaction, just exact response. You now act because it aligns with design, not because it relieves emotion. Emotion is information, not command. Once you see feelings as signals instead of masters, you begin moving like a strategist, not a survivor. Survivors adapt to chaos. Strategists sculpt it. The first discipline of balance is measured empathy. You feel others fully but decide responses mathematically. You can understand pain without inheriting it. You can sense tension without mirroring it. Most people confuse empathy with merging, but merging is emotional debt. You remain present but separate, kind but untouchable. This dual state produces respect that affection alone cannot. People sense your awareness but cannot steer it. They trust your calm because it does not depend on their approval. The second discipline is rhythmic solitude. Every leader who maintains influence must return to silence regularly. Silence resets perception, cleans residue, and recalibrates tone. When you spend too much time in performance, your rhythm corrupts. You start speaking faster, reacting sooner, pleasing louder. Solitude detoxes those reflexes. You sit until thought slows, until your mind stops chasing agreement. This is where power becomes self-generating instead of audience-fed. Most never reach it because silence feels like rejection, but silence is actually the repair shop of all authority. The third discipline is emotional economy refined into elegance. Economy taught you to spend feelings sparingly. Elegance teaches you when to spend beautifully. You no longer suppress emotion. You stage it. A quiet smile after restraint lands deeper than 1,000 speeches. A calm word after chaos feels divine because it carries discipline. You begin to move like water. Soft, inevitable, impossible to grasp. This is what ancient strategists meant by effortless command. Effortless command is not force. It is gravitational rhythm. Then comes the hidden paradox. To stay unreadable, you must become transparent to yourself. You can hide from others, but never from your own patterns. If unreadability becomes armor, you will freeze from within. So you must read your own mind daily. Observe every reason you speak, every reaction you offer. Find the small traces of fear that still demand attention. Clean them before they translate into tone. An unexamined tone leaks more than an unexamined word. This inner honesty keeps your silence alive instead of hollow. When you reach this clarity, people feel something new around you. They feel safety without softness, authority without threat. Their nervous systems slow near yours, not out of fear but out of regulation. They start acting wiser simply by being in your rhythm. You became the mirror that does not distort them. This is how true influence works. It uplifts without announcing itself. The 4 lies are now reversed. You no longer explain, you define. You no longer expose, you reveal selectively. You no longer give endlessly, you structure connection. You no longer rush, you measure time. And in these reversals, you gain back every fragment of control you once lost. Power no longer feels like effort. It feels like clean silence. You no longer chase respect. You radiate inevitability. Machiavelli's real message was never manipulation. It was awareness. He studied how people destroy their own stability in the name of appearing moral. He saw that purity without intelligence becomes weakness, and intelligence without empathy becomes corruption. Your mastery is the middle path, ethical power. You control energy without wounding, and command presence without fear. So here lies the truth that ends this manual. The most dangerous lies were never outside you. They lived in your habits. Once you replaced reaction with rhythm and performance with design, your world began orbiting differently. You now understand the silent rule of all influence. People cannot overpower what they cannot predict, and they cannot predict what is emotionally still. You have become that stillness, alive, aware, unreadable, not because you hide, but because you have nothing left to prove. And in a world addicted to noise, the one who remains silent with reason will always be mistaken for something divine.